Hello, I'm Dora Tarver and welcome to your first video coaching session. In the weeks to come, you'll have the opportunity to implement the strategies outlined on my CD. With this information, you'll be able to quickly create and manage project schedules in no time. Now in today's lesson, we're going to focus on part 1 of the strategy for configuring and formatting Microsoft projects. And at the end of this lesson, I'll share with you a secret strategy that will save you a significant amount of time and money. So let's get started.
Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the secrets for configuring and formatting Microsoft Project. When you first launch Microsoft Project, and here's a copy of Project 2007, you'll notice that in most cases your default toolbar will show the standard and the formatting, which mean these toolbar buttons that you see here will be displayed. Also, over here on the left-hand side, you'll see this area, which is actually a list of views that you have in Microsoft Project. This view bar can be turned on or off by going to the view bar and either checking it to turn it off. In this case, it's already on, so it's checked. So I turned it off, or you can turn it on. And essentially, this toolbar will help you be able to navigate between different ways of looking at your project data. Sometimes you'll find that you'll want to have more space in this work area, and turning the view bar off will give you more space so that you'll be able to see more information, more columns in your project schedule. Now, I'm turning the view bar off because I don't need it right now. Now notice that your columns by default tend to be task name, duration, start, finish, predecessor, and resource name. One of the key items a project manager uses is the %complete. So you'll want to insert that column by right-clicking on the column header at the point where you want to insert the column, and a pop-up menu will appear, and simply click on the insert column item, and then if you scroll to the very top, you'll see %complete. And you can leave the title empty. It'll display %complete. Click on OK, and then you have your %complete. Okay. Sometimes people will begin working on a project schedule and they literally work with the columns that are displayed by default. And if you work in that way, you'll find that you really won't have the control that you need to be able to manage your project. So be careful to set up your project schedule, and by setting it up I mean we're going to go through some things right now, and once you're done setting it up, as you'll see in a few minutes, we will then save this as a template so that you can use it over and over again. Okay? So it's important to take the time initially to set up the options in Microsoft Project. And the first thing that you're going to do is literally go to the Tools menu item and select Options. And from here, we'll configure our environment. So now notice the first tab here is the View tab. And it's telling us that our current view is a Gantt chart view, which means that behind here we'll see the tasks, and then over here is a Gantt chart view which will show bars. And the default calendar type is Gregorian, and the default date right now, my default date is showing month, day, year, and time. Most cases when you first open project, it'll probably be set to something like this. It'll show the month, day, and year. Personally, I find it helpful to actually show the time, and I prefer just seeing it in this format, but there, as you can see here, there are several other date formats that you can choose, whichever is easier for you to work with. But I prefer to see the time because that will give me the ability to control when tasks start and end better than if I just showed the date. And you'll see some examples of that later. Now, on the View tab, basically I just make sure that I have the date format set up. And then if you move to the General tab, there are a few options here that you might find helpful. So for example, if you make sure that the Open Last File on Startup is checked, which is right here, this will allow Project to automatically open the last Microsoft Project file that you were in when you launch Microsoft Project. And typically you'll be working in one schedule on a regular basis, so this is just something that saves you time by simply having Project automatically open the last file. Another item on this page is the recently used list. By default it's checked, but you can set the recently used list to as many, let's see, I think it goes up to 9 entries. So typically, 5 or 6. What this means is that, I'm going to close out of here, when you go into your menu option file, you'll notice at the bottom is a picture, the list of most recently used project files. And you can control how many are displayed here by setting that. So right now mine is set to 6. If I set it to 9, click on OK. Right now I'd have to go in and open up another file so you could see. Let me see if I can do something quickly here. So I have a file here. I'm going to go ahead and open it, and I've already opened it. Now that I've opened it, you'll see that I now have 7 items. And again, if I keep going in here, it'll go up to 9. So you can control that. It'll help you navigate quickly to project schedules that you're working with. Another detail is to put your name in the username. In some environments, when you have the project schedule on network environment and you're using it and someone else can't get into it, they'll be able to see who has it. Also, make sure that the undo levels are set at some level that you want to work with. Undo levels are literally, when you click undo, how many times you can hit undo before to get the past work that you've done. So, you can choose whatever number works best for you. I believe this goes up to 99. So imagine if you have to hit the undo button, how many times would you want to go back? Okay, and on the calendar tab, you'll want to make sure that your work week is set up. Okay, so enter the start and end times of your work day, which mean that default time starts at 8 a.m. or maybe your default time starts at 9 a.m. and ends at, maybe it ends at 5 p.m. or if it ends at 6 p.m. you'll want to set that up depending on how your company works. And if you have a 7-hour work day and let's say a 35-hour work week or 32-hour work week, you can actually type in however long your work week is, and you can set however many hours per day you're required to work. But go ahead and configure that, because Project uses this information to calculate the relationship and the duration of the task in your project schedule. Keep in mind when you're setting up your hours that there's most likely a lunch break, and you have to determine if you want to calculate that in. So you want to leave room for a break. Now on the Save tab, I recommend selecting Autosave and defining how often you want your project schedule to automatically be saved. You can control that. You can have it saved often or not as often. You can control how often project will autosave. And this is definitely a very helpful feature because you never know if you're going to lose power, lose network connectivity. Autosave can be a lifesaver. it'll automatically save your project schedule for you and prevent unnecessary loss of information. Now, in terms of defining the options, these are pretty much the ones that are key for setting up your project schedule. We use the View tab to set up the date. We use a General tab to select recently used and the number of used files we'll want to see in our cache. We put our name in here and we set our undo levels. On the calendar, we set our work week. And on save, we selected save every 10 minutes or whatever, however often you want to set that. And then click on OK. Now, before you do anything else, you want to save this and save it as a generic name. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to call it Project Schedule Template, and then hit save so that we can come back to this and use it again. So this is a Gantt chart project schedule template. The Gantt chart will appear on the right hand side over here, our task detail over here on the left hand side that you'll typically have on a project.
So there you have it, the first step in configuring and formatting Microsoft Project. Did you see the value note at the end? That was in reference to saving your project as a template so that all the time and effort that you spent configuring it can be reused. You'll find that that one detail will save you a significant amount of time and money. It'll allow you to be able to quickly jumpstart your project so that you can be up and running quickly. Now, take a look at the homework below and contact me if you have any questions. Go to ineedsupportplease.com. Now, we have a lot more to go over in our next session for configuring and formatting Microsoft Project, so I'll see you at that time.